This case takes us to Solihull, a sizable market town in the West Midlands of England, home to about 125,000 people. Among them was 22-year-old Raneem Oudeh, who was escaping the Syrian conflict zone in order to see her mother, Khaola Saleem, and stepfather, Mohammed, who had lived in Solihull for 16 years. She had relocated to England with her 2-year-old son, characterized as self-sufficient and intelligent. She immediately rose to prominence in her neighborhood and was constantly volunteering for charitable causes and others who were less fortunate than herself. According to her aunt Norris, she had aspirations of publishing her own songs and had a lovely singing voice. She enrolled in college as soon as she arrived in the UK, juggling it with parenting her son. For Raneem, there was never a dull day. Her aunt remembered how thrilled she was to be going to college. She and her son were starting over, and she was excited about what lay ahead. She met Jambaz Train while attending Solihull College. He had also lately relocated to the United Kingdom, but had falsely claimed to be under 18 in order to gain admittance into the country as a juvenile escaping a war zone. In reality, he was 21. He immediately started pestering Raneem to date him after enrolling at the same college. After some initial opposition, Raneem finally gave in, and the two started dating in 2016. He would tell her, "When I saw you, I said this is mine," even though the relationship was tumultuous from the beginning. Less than a year later, the couple tied the knot in an Islamic ceremony. According to Raneem's family, they reluctantly granted their blessing, even though the marriage was not recognized by UK law. According to Raneem's aunt, her niece later disclosed the horrifying threats that persuaded her to wed him. Jambaz threatened to destroy her family if she didn't wed him, as well as Raneem, who told her family after the wedding that she realized she had made a major error, but was unsure of how to correct it. Jambaz, who was already domineering and possessive, was now turning aggressive, and the cops soon noticed him as well. Raneem, who was once very close to her family, was seeing fewer and fewer of them, and people were now rarely coming to her apartments. Jambaz was telling everyone who would listen that Raneem was mentally disturbed and the source of the problems. Even though things were becoming worse, Raneem persisted in her college studies, working hard and ensuring that her son's success in nursery was her top concern. When Raneem revealed his true age to the teachers, Jambaz would soon be expelled from the college. When Raneem found out about his extremely covert life back in Afghanistan, she was shocked. In 2017, it was discovered that Jambaz had another pregnant wife, with whom he already had 3 children. Raneem quit the relationship after preparing herself for it for a long period. Jambaz had been publicly boasting about his second life, while his buddies made fun of the fact that neither of his wives was aware of it. He was furious that Raneem had abandoned him. Jambaz was now completely unrelenting and uncontrollable in his harassing. Jambaz began sleeping outside Raneem's address with the neighbors for 12 nights in a row after Raneem moved in with her mother, frequently chasing him off the street. Raneem expressed to others that she believed her time was running out. Her family came together to support her and organized an encounter with Jambaz, during which he committed to avoiding Raneem. This had no effect. Raneem would notify the police that she felt in danger, despite the fact that they were routinely asked to step in. She frequently refused to go any farther than that. After a year, Raneem's situation will only worsen. After Jambaz broke into Khaola's house and damaged Raneem's phone, Raneem was able to get a non-molestation order against him in early August 2018 with the assistance of her mother. Raneem had at last found her strength, according to her aunt, and she told the solicitor everything on August 16, 2018. The court injunction was submitted. Jambaz was unable to approach her within 100 meters as a result. At last, Raneem felt in charge of her life again. Her diligence had paid off, and she was eager to begin her job search after receiving good grades and certificates from college. Raneem and Khaola went shopping with family during the day and ended up in a shisha lounge at night. They had no idea that Jambaz had been pursuing them all day in a van he had taken from his place of employment. After spending some time hiding and observing them, he approached the two and an altercation started. Before Khaola attacked him back, he grabbed Raneem's phone and struck her. After a prolonged altercation in front of onlookers, Jambaz was finally let out of the eatery and driven away in his van. After that, he drove to his father's grocery and picked up a 12-inch steak knife. Following the altercation at the Shisha Lounge, Raneem contacted 999 and reported to police that Jambaz had followed her there and attacked her and her mother in spite of court order against him. Unfortunately, the police system was unable to locate this court order. Raneem expressed a belief that she and her mother were in danger and that they required assistance. What should they do next, and where should they go? Raneem and Khaola were also asked to leave the restaurant, and they waited for the police to show up outside on the streets. After 30 minutes, she called the police once more to report that she had left the Shisha Lounge and that she and her mother were heading home. When Raneem asked the police if they would do anything, they said they would have to see her first. Armed with a knife, Jambaz returned to the Shisha Lounge while they were heading home. When he realized the two had departed, he drove off in his van in search of them. She called a third time at 11:42 to inquire about the whereabouts of the officers and to report that she was waiting outside her home on North Down Road. Police told Raneem to go to her mother's house, lock the doors, and make another call if Jambaz showed up. Raneem received a final call from the police shortly after midnight, informing her that they would see her at 8 a.m. and that they were unable to leave that evening. She begged them to meet her, expressing anxiety that the issue would not be resolved until far too late. While the call was still active, Khaola began to scream as she saw Jambaz approaching them from the bushes. Raneem keeps saying, "He's here, I can see him." In a furious attack, Jambaz lunged at Raneem and started stabbing her. In an attempt to defend her daughter, Khaola leaped in, but Jambaz also turned a knife on her. When Muhammad, Raneem's stepfather and half-sister, heard the screaming and hurried outside, he saw the women on the ground and Jambaz fleeing. Authorities flooded the streets in the next minutes. Raneem and Khaola were both declared dead at the scene, since there was nothing that could be done. In 150 killings throughout the course of his career, the head of the West Midlands Police Department called the scene one of the most gruesome and heartbreaking he has witnessed. Now, neighbors were emerging from their houses to report that the commotion had awakened them up, and some claimed to have seen a man drive off in a white van.
It is terrifying. We heard some voices. We thought it was a fox or something, animals.
She was a lovely woman. She was quiet. They argued quite a lot, near enough every day. There was arguing, like her screaming, asking, shouting for help. The little boy crying on the balcony, to shame. She was really quiet. She just started coming out of her shell. She was saying, "Hello, you all right?" When she was with him, she wouldn't speak. She'd put her head down. But yeah, she was quiet. And I know people have their arguments, but this is just a shock. It's too close to her.
Shortly after stabbing Raneem and Khaola, Jambaz was caught on camera calmly placing an order for food at a takeaway restaurant named Peeps on Bearwood High Streets. He had thrown away his bloody garments and knife, changed into a red jacket, and shaved off his beard. Jambaz Taran was the only suspect the police had, and a massive manhunt was currently in progress to locate him. Police were making every effort to find him, including offering a £5,000 reward.
£1,000 reward to anybody who might be able to help us with information that leads to the detention of Mr. Turing. If anybody has information, if they supply it to Crime Stoppers and it comes to us and results in his arrest, then that reward will be forthcoming. So two things that I really want to get across. The first is to Mr. Turing personally, if he's watching this. We will find you and we will arrest you, so make it easy and come in and turn yourself into a police station. And also to anybody who might be working with or assisting Mr. Turing, you're probably committing criminal offences. We will find Mr. Turing, but we'll also find you. So don't put yourself in that position. If you have information, ring Crime Stoppers or ring the police, and we will move to locate him.
They also significantly enhanced their presence in some locations to, in their words, reassure the local people. After Jambaz's van was found, forensic investigation got underway right away. Jambaz was still nowhere to be found despite police searching many residences connected to him and confiscating cell phones and computer equipment. He was now one of the most wanted criminals in Britain and would be on the run for 4 days. Soon after, a member of the public noticed him and reported him to the authorities. Officers used pepper spray to hold him in an alleyway before handcuffing Jambaz.
Officers detained him in an alleyway using pepper spray, and finally, they had Janbaz in handcuffs.
That's it. Yeah, it's not going to wash it out right. Open your eyes. Watch your head. Move the seat.
The public was alarmed by how many calls Raneem had made to police that evening and wanted an explanation for why no one had emerged.
To that phone call, but sadly by that time the victim had moved on. We then tried to find both the victim and her mum, but tragically while we're on the phone to her, the offence took place. And what we saw was a brutal murder of two defenceless females by the offender. This was a pre-planned, premeditated attack where the offender had sought the victims out, he had armed himself, he had chased them down, and when he found them, he inflicted horrendous levels of violence on them that nobody could have survived. So this was a really cowardly, vicious, brutal attack.
On September 8th, 2018, Raneem and Khaola were laid to rest in a joint service that drew hundreds of people. Janbaz appeared at Birmingham Crown Courts in December 2018. He entered a guilty plea to both killings. The judge found that the killings were highly premeditated and sentenced him to life in prison, with a minimum of 32 years to be served before he is eligible for release. After the police submitted themselves to the Independent Office on Police Conduct, they began looking into what the West Midlands police had done that evening. According to Mohammed Saleem, his wife was an amazing woman who put a lot of effort into making the house a warm, joyful space full of love and beautiful memories. In search of a better life for herself and her infant son, Raneem Oudeh traveled to England. After battling for her life and independence, she met a terrible end. For a long time, Noor stated of her niece, just by looking at her people forget their bad day. She was always interacting with people and grinning. Now that she is taking care of her baby, Noor frequently discusses Raneem with him. She works hard to increase awareness of domestic violence and violent and coercive relationships because she is adamant that her sister and niece's deaths not be in vain.